Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode of the BeDifferential Podcast. I'm your host, Ava Gregory, and this week we are joined by Michelle Miller, professional co-driver and instructor at Dirtfish Rally School. Welcome to this week's episode.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Well, of course, I'm excited to have you here. For the listener, Michelle and I have been trying to schedule this for forever, and both of our lives have just been a little crazy. But Michelle, why don't you tell the listeners just a little bit about who you are so they kind of know who they're listening to today?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Michelle. I've been in motorsport for over 20 years. Started in Autocross with an invite from a friend. And as my time in the car has evolved, I took on a job at Dirtfish Rally School in 2013 and have been teaching the art of rally ever since. Just so amazing to share what I love with people, and it's good for the soul. And then I started co-driving in 2015 and I've taken that as a second career.
I love that. Wait, 10 years. Wow, we're in our 10-year anniversary of co-driving. That's insane. I love it. Well, tell us, really, I'm always interested how you got first introduced to it. Was this something you grew up in? Was this something that you kind of thought you might be in? Or what? Talk us through that entry point.
Of course, yeah. So, I grew up in a little tiny town in Mossy Rock, Washington, just outside of Mount Rainier. And yeah, my family was not into motorsport, never really anything thought I would do, but I did love driving. There wasn't much going on where I grew up. So I recently found a photo of me when I was 13 years old in my first car, which was a 1967 Volkswagen Bug.
Oh, I love it.
And I was driving my sisters around and I'm like, oh my goodness, times have sure changed, right? But yeah, it was just something I love to do. It gave me freedom. It meant my parents didn't have to drive my sisters everywhere. I was able to go take a job, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, just kind of, just
got into it.
Yeah,
so what did your first like official job like instructing look like, getting involved in that space?
Yeah, so I was doing some autocross. I had a friend who invited me out to a school and I absolutely loved it and decided, hey, I want to get more into this. So I kind of took on running their novice driving program the next year, which was phenomenal. And that's pretty much how I got started coaching, was on a volunteer basis, is with the Bremerton Sports Car Club. I had a 1982 Mazda RX-7 at the time, which was a super fun car. And it just kind of took off there. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like, I love the sport. I want to share it with other people. Teaching people who've never done anything like that before is really, really fun.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited. For the listeners, I've actually signed up and I'm doing my first rally school at Dirtfish this year. So I'm really excited. Maybe you'll be my instructor then, Michelle.
When are you coming?
In September.
Excellent. I love that.
Yeah. So I feel like I definitely, motorsports have been in it for a while, but rally is a newer area that I'm kind of getting some exposure to. And I can imagine what it's like to be on your side and getting to see, the first time experiences for so many. So tell us, how did you first get involved with Dirtfish? Coming from the autocross side to co-driving and now rally instructing, what does that look like? And really, where did that introduction to Dirtfish come in?
Yeah, I've always kind of followed rally. I became a fan in my late teens, early 20s when it was on Speed Vision. I know I'm aging myself a little bit there. But it always seemed this thing that was like really far away. It was European. Yeah. There was all these cars that were so cool that we couldn't get here. And then, I'd heard about Dirtfish because some of the people I raced against in autocross actually worked there.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I got my foot in the door. I was talking to Don and he said, hey, we're looking for an instructor. I see you doing all of this, volunteer work with the different clubs. Why don't you come and interview? So it was really just, meeting the right people, putting in some work, all on a volunteer basis, and people saying that like, hey, you're really good at getting people to drive fast. So why don't you give this a go?
Just like
and I had no rally background at all. Like, I grew up in the country, so obviously I'd like driven on a gravel road before, but like I wasn't competing in it. I wasn't doing it. I was just a fan, and right place, right time, right people, hard work.
I think that's awesome though. I had interviewed someone else that was a rally driver, and same thing. Just as she got older, she's like, I had no background in it. I was brought out to one event and was like, let me just try it. And now it's totally taken over her life and career. And I think that's amazing. So talk to us a little bit. I mean, you've now been a co-driver, you've instructed. Talk to us about some of the different races that you've competed in or taught people who maybe you then sent off to go compete in. Talk us through like what you can expect from a rally.
Oh boy, yeah, it's a pretty cool weekend. I've had the luxury of a lot of people that I co-drive for have actually been through the school, so I get to know them there. Or they were already rallying and they come and take a class. But one of the drivers I'm with now, Richo, he did a 3-day at the school, did a 3-day advance, and then said, "Hey, I want to go racing." So we connected him with some people that rent. He asked me if I wanted to hop in the car with him. I said, sure. You seem like you're cool. You drove well at the school. You listened. Those were all kind of things that I'm looking for in a driver. Fun to hang out with because you spend a lot of time together over the weekend. So you definitely want to make sure that your personalities sync a little bit. And yeah, we connected and did a couple races together. And then last year we ran the full championship all across the United States, and we won the limited 2-wheel drive championship together. So that's kind of like the dream story, taking someone who's a student who's never done it before. He raced motorcycles, but never anything really in a car besides being a fan of Subarus, and then went on to win the championship together. So that's awesome. That was pretty neat. Yeah.
What were you guys running? Like what type of vehicle?
We were in a Lexus IS250 rear-wheel drive car, and it was in the limited 2-wheel drive class, which is kind of the entry-level class for rally. You can't do too many modifications. It's either front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, and it's a great way to kind of learn the sport and learn how to drive before you jump into something crazy powerful.
Wait, I love that. And it actually just made me think of another question. So when I was signing up for my Dirtfish Rally School, I was limited on some of the time frame that I had to book within. But I'm curious, as an instructor point of view, what is the difference? What are some things you think about from all-wheel drive and 2-wheel drive vehicles in a rally setting?
Sure. So, all-wheel drive, you're just going to have way more mechanical traction.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways, that's a little easier, but it also means you really need to make sure you're working the car to get it to work well. In the 2-wheel drive, particularly the rear-wheel drive, you just need to have a little bit more finesse. The gases might get you in a different kind of trouble than the gas might get you to in the all-wheel drive. But at the end of the day, it's all about having really good feel in the car and about kind of using the weight of the vehicle to help you manufacture traction. And the way you do it in each one is just a little bit different.
That's fair enough. So tell us, Michelle, what was your first experience as a co-driver?
Oh, this is great. So my first time was with my coworker, Sam Albert. And listeners might be familiar with Sam. He Ferrari swapped a Subaru for rally. So if you haven't seen this yet, it's kind of all over the internet. You just have to look for Ferrari swapped STI, and it sounds amazing. Now, this wasn't the car we were in at the time. We were in his very first rally car, a GD Subaru, and his co-driver had gotten called away and couldn't make an event. So he said, hey, do you want to come and do this little regional rally, Mount Hood rally with me? And I said, sure, sounds great. We went. I was terrified. I almost threw up before the first stage. And we actually did really well. So we ended up taking second in the event overall.
Wow.
Had the myriad of issues you always have with rally. I think our turbo might have went out or something. I can't even remember. And he was like, hey, you were great. We should do more rallies together. And so that's kind of how it got kicked off. Was just, you need to sometimes just fall in the right place. And I was like, wow, I really like this. This is like, it's a combination of instructing, which I really, really love, because you have to, kind of read the energy of the car and create a really trusting environment. But then you also get to go fast, and you're like, calling the notes and hoping they're right. And when they are, and the driver commits to something, it's pretty phenomenal.
Okay, so I would love if we could talk about that for a second, because I follow you on Instagram, you post your navigator notes, your, directions that you have to follow, and it is truly a whole other language. Like, I feel like when you post your story, I'm like, I'm looking at hieroglyphics, what the heck? And I'm so curious, can you maybe, I'm sure there's so much in depth and you could spend a lot of time talking about this, but are there some examples, or like, what is like the basics that you should understand as a navigator and how to communicate to your driver or your co-driver?
Yeah. So, a big piece of rally is all of the work before the rally.
Yeah.
So, a good co-driver is going to spend 40, 50 hours before the race preparing. So we're
Wow.
building a plan for the weekend. We're looking at recce. We're reviewing stage videos from previous years. We're communicating with our driver on a plan. I like maps a lot, so I'm always looking at maps. I'm looking at kind of, where the roads go, how they change in elevation, all that sort of stuff. But the really, really big piece, especially if you have a driver that's committing to notes, is the reconnaissance that we do the day before the race starts. So
Mhm.
we go out in a street car, we drive 30 miles an hour. The first pass of the reconnaissance, the driver tells the co-driver kind of what they're seeing on the road. And that's how
Mm.
you develop that base level of pace notes. So we
Yeah.
use a system, most of my drivers use a system of either 1 through 6 or 1 through 10 to describe the shape of the corner. So one,
Ooh,
two,
okay.
4, 5, 6 sort of thing. And then you have the distance of straightaways, features that you need to navigate over, a crest, a jump, holes, things like that. Where you need to put the car, where you can't put the car, where you can push, probably more importantly, where you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Um, and so you develop that together. The second pass of the reconnaissance, you go through again, and I call the notes still at a low speed, and the driver makes edits to them. So that's kind of how we build those notes. Each co-driver has their own shorthand.
Mhm.
Um, it's kind of what you can read on the fly, right?
Yeah.
So uh, it's always funny to look at how different people write their notes. For the most part, we write our numbers and the letter R and L the same.
Yeah.
But for some of the other stuff, people have different abbreviations. So it's really unique form of sport. And people always ask me like, well, why don't you just memorize the road? We might see 2,000 different corners in a race weekend.
Totally.
And
Totally.
it's very technical, right? Things are blocked by trees. Things are blocked by crest. You don't have good visibility. So if you want to really commit to speed, you need to have a really good set of notes. And you need
Yeah.
to trust each other that the driver is going to drive them, and the driver needs to trust that you're going to call the right thing.
Have you done a race like competitively with a co-driver that you didn't know, like someone that you didn't really have an opportunity to build trust with, and you just kind of were thrown into, hey, okay, we got to figure it out.
Yeah. I
Really?
mean, yeah.
I feel like that's scary, because you really do have to build that trust and have a communication understanding. That's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I've gotten in with people I haven't known, but I've known of them, right? So
Okay.
like,
Okay.
you're friends on Facebook even if you've never met each other because it's a really
Yeah.
small world. You can
Yeah.
look at
Yeah.
people's profile and see what races they've done and kind of how they've finished and things like that.
Okay.
And one of the things that teaching has really done that's benefited me from co-driving is that ability to create a relationship with someone very quickly and to get them to
Mm.
trust you very, very quickly. Because when you come to Dirtfish, your instructor is going to say, go sideways. And you're like, well, the last time I was sideways, I crashed a car. Like, this is really
Yeah.
scary,
Yeah.
So
That's
you
so
trust
fair. Yeah, that's a good
that
point.
person right away, right? So I think that yeah, definitely the ability to build a relationship with someone very, very quickly is something that Dirtfish and other coaching things have done for me, which has been, really great in the co-driving side of things.
So now I'm curious because we talked about some of the skill sets that you've developed from co-driver position, from being an instructor. Which skills do you think may have helped you stay competitive across like this diverse range of things that you're taking on? I mean, are there things that obviously communication has been a huge trend here and constant that you'll need to do, but are there driver skills? Are there training, like physical training that you've done? Like what's something that maybe has you think given you a competitive edge?
Well, I'm very competitive naturally.
Okay. Okay.
So there is that, which definitely helps. I played sports since like elementary school. So I just have a background in wanting to compete, wanting to succeed. I'm really driven. So all of those things definitely help. You follow me on Instagram, so I'm a pretty active runner as well, which
Yeah.
is another way for me to compete and also a great way to stay fit as I
Mhm.
age so that I can keep doing these things and stay on it. It's hot in the car, it's sweaty, sometimes it's very physical if we have to do things on the car. Honestly, it's physical just riding around and getting tossed around all day long.
Yeah.
So for me, having a high level of fitness really really helps. And then it also I compete in running as well. I'm not as competitive in running as I am in rally. I am a solid bottom of the top third in running.
Okay.
But
Okay.
putting yourself in those positions, those situations where you have to train, where you have to plan. I like to run long
Yeah.
ways. So you're thinking of duration versus intensity, right? And just going to races and dealing with being nervous, dealing with not knowing what the outcome is. All of those things build each other.
Yeah.
So it's really, having that competitive mindset and being really, really driven that I think helped me in both, to be honest. Sometimes to my
I think no, yeah, I hear that. I think that's a great point. I feel like you made a comment just a second ago, and there's a common misnomer that people think like drivers aren't athletes or whatever. But like to your point, the exhaustion of just like being tossed around, the vibration, like you have to have built up enough stamina just to withstand that. And I love that you're an active runner. I used to run in college and I kind of have gotten back into it lately. A couple of my friends and I have signed up for some races. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing how that translates over to some other aspects of my life as well. But okay, I want to talk about you've gone through this training, you have these skill sets, you're competitive, and you've won some championships. So, can you talk to us about maybe some standout moments? I mean, whether this was like a part of your journey where everything went wrong and you had to come out of it, or if everything was just perfect and it was really fulfilling. Like, is there any kind of memory or story that really stands out?
Yeah, I mean, the wonderful thing about rally is I'm going to have stories to tell until like beyond,
I love
right?
it.
Like when I'm
I
in the old
love it.
folks home, people are going to think I'm crazy. There's no way. There's no way. You're making this up.
I
These are
can't
just
wait. I can't wait.
there's so many. I mean, um, wow. Yeah, I don't even know where to start. But one of the standout like positive moments was from last year at the Ojibwe Forest Rally.
hmm
We um, were really pushing for a win there, and
Yeah.
we had some pretty serious competitors in our class. So a lot of our success last year was based on finishing rallies and finishing on
hmm
the podium, but not necessarily winning everything. We were just
Gotcha.
really, really consistent throughout the season. We didn't have we had a couple little issues, but like nothing too major. So that long-term vision was what really led us to success. And it's hard sometimes to not push for the win when but it's like, look, like we're getting the points we need to win the championship. But
Yeah.
at Ojibwe last year, we just had a really good rally. It was our second time there. We love the roads. They're super fun. And it was our closest finish throughout the championship. We won the race by 4/10 of a second over
Wow.
100 and I think 36 miles. And it all
Wow.
came down to the final stage where we were actually in a deficit for the win. And we were
Oh
able
my
to
God.
pull off a win by, I think, three and a half seconds. We won the stage by.
Wow.
Yeah. So those moments like that are just, you're moved to tears. It's so amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, my dog just came in. You might hear some pitter patter there, I guess.
That is okay. That is
Yeah, so
insane.
that's like pretty amazing, to battle
Yeah.
over 2 days with our competitor, Roberto, and then have it come down to the very final stage is just like, you can't make that stuff up. It's
No,
like,
I can't even imagine. Yeah, I feel like when you watch, like sports car racing, NASCAR, like it's very expected that you're within hundredths of a second. But to be over the course of multiple days and stages in a rally setting and still be that close, I can only imagine what that felt like to have come out of the deficit and placed and done it. That's huge. Holy cow. Wow.
yeah, and what's really tricky about rally is you can't see what your competitors are doing. You leave on minute gaps, right? It's a
Right.
point to point race. It's not wheel to wheel. So we go to the stage start and it's like, look, we need to find 4 seconds. I think it was
Mhm.
a 9 mile stage. So it's like, let's go find, a tenth of every corner or whatever.
Yeah.
100th maybe. I can't even, there's a lot of
Yeah.
corners on that stage. And so you get to the finish and we're both there and, you know,
You don't know yet.
myself and the other co-driver are literally like, what did you run on that stage? And we're comparing times and doing the math, because you don't have a scoreboard. You can't see, we don't know who won until you look at those times together. So it's like a different kind of stress for sure. Yeah.
That's so interesting. And I mean, maybe this is the answer to the question I'm about to ask, but you mentioned it's not like wheel to wheel in this aspect. What do you love about rallying that's different from like autocross, rallycross, and wheel to wheel that, you've had some other experiences in as well?
A couple things. One, I love being in the woods. So getting to go be in the woods in a
That's
race
cool.
car, come on, life doesn't get much better than that. So it's
Yeah,
pretty amazing way to experience some places in our country I would probably never otherwise go. But the big
sure.
piece for me in rally is the teamwork and the camaraderie, not just on the team, but also between the competitors. It
Yeah.
is a sport where you want to win because you drove better, not because of someone else's misfortune.
Mhm.
And I've seen people, who are in a battle and someone gets a flat and the ones that's battling them will give them their tire.
Yeah,
Where
wow.
else are you going to see that kind of teamwork and or that camaraderie between competitors?
Yeah.
The team itself, obviously you have the driver and the co-driver in the car, but you also have a whole crew that just hustles so hard. You get 30 to 45 minutes usually to work on your car once or twice a day. And they're like, they swarm that thing. They get everything done. You're putting your utmost trust in them as well, that the car is going to be ready to go and everything's going to work. And then you go
Yeah.
out and break it some more and you bring it back to them and you smiles and a Gatorade and are like, yay, we get to pick something. That's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Great.
It's so true. Wow. So, okay, I feel like maybe I'm mistaken, but you've done driving and co-driving, right? So how do you approach those roles differently? Like, what are you considering as you're in each various seat?
Yeah, so I haven't done as much driving in rally as I have co-driving.
Okay.
I've just been picking up a lot of rides, so I there's only so much time to do everything.
Right.
Um, but for me, driving is a little bit easier because all
Really?
I have to do is drive,
Okay.
which is great. I mean, it's hard, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Um, but if you have a good teammate in the car, all you really have to think about is the driving.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, and yeah, and then obviously you have this life you're responsible for in the passenger seat with you. So, there's always that kind of thought going on in your mind as you're driving is, you're responsible for a lot,
Yeah.
not just yourself. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's a riot when you can get the car to work and you're like in the zone and the notes are flowing and like you're not even hearing them, but they're part of the process and the
Mm,
car is just like connected to your body. Almost like when you're riding a horse and everything's just like clicking. It feels very similar.
yeah.
It's a pretty amazing experience.
This is so cool. I love this. I'm like putting myself in your shoes and not even have experienced it before. This is amazing. So you talked about, how being an instructor impacts driving, how driving impacts being an instructor. Talk to me a little bit as an instructor. So putting that hat on, what do you love most, or what are some things that you take away in helping other drivers getting started, like people that are brand new to rally? What's like a big takeaway for you?
Being with someone the first time they do something they never thought they could do before in the car is like, it's so amazing.
Yeah.
It's so incredibly rewarding to
Yeah.
be there in that moment with someone. And so it really just like keeps me fired up to get to do that, every single
Yeah.
day. It's
Yeah.
some people are like, doesn't it get boring? It's like, no, never. Like everyone's just so excited. They're like, it worked. uh,
Yeah.
and then, seeing them move forward from that and their confidence building behind the wheel, their confidence that they can control the car, control the slide. And look, not everyone that goes through the school starts rallying,
Yeah.
right? Very few do, to be honest. I mean, we see thousands of students a year and maybe a dozen or something will go on to race, which is fine. That's more people than were racing before, right?
Yeah.
So, when we do get those ones that are super fired up and want to go compete, that's kind of like the icing on the cake, if you will, is being part of that journey for someone, whether or not I'm co-driving for them.
Yeah, I can imagine that that's really fulfilling. And that's honestly so heartwarming because I feel like I have conversations with a lot of people where their job is just a means to an end. And it just sounds like you're getting so fulfilled in what your job is. And I feel like that's an amazing way to be able to experience what you love and then share it with others. You mentioned, not everyone who does these schools goes on to compete or to do other rallies. how would you encourage people who might be intimidated by rallying? It is an aggressive side of the sport. It is the nitty gritty side of the sport. It's off road. How would you encourage people? I think maybe there's a personality aspect that comes in, right? Those that are just willing to try it. But if someone's feeling nervous or intimidated about it, what might you say to them to get them to at least be willing to try?
Yeah, you're right. It is intimidating. There's a huge rule book, and there's, like I said, when I first got into this, it just seemed like so far away, nothing that like someone like me, country upbringing could do, But
Mm-hmm.
the best way to kind of get your feet wet is to go to a rally, whether or not you're competing, be a
Yeah.
spectator, be a volunteer, get on the Facebook group, see if someone needs crew, go work on the car. Even if you're not super mechanical, there's things you can do to help the team out. You can organize things, you can clean windows, you can change tires, you can cook, right? Teams need a lot of support, and that's a really great way to get into the community. And once you're
Yeah.
there, you're going to see, oh, wow, these people are really cool. It's not as intimidating as I thought. People are welcoming me with open arms. I'm not the
Mm-hmm.
only new one.
Yeah.
It's a really, really nice way to get involved.
I love that. So you mentioned, go to some rallies, go experience it. What's the farthest rally that you've either like participated or spectated at?
Um, it was actually 2 weekends ago. I was in northeastern Quebec at Rally BeDifferential with my driver Vincent, and I'm running the Eastern Canadian Championship with.
That is so cool. So, okay, let's talk through because I think this is different for every like type of motorsport as well, right? A championship could be 10 races, could be 4 races. What does a championship duration typically look like? Maybe in this one that you're competing in currently.
Yeah, so in the US, the championship starts in February at Snowdrift Rally, and it ends in October at Lake Superior Performance Rally. It's 8 events, and you get 2 drops. And then they score your six, basically your 6 best events is what gets scored. So if you miss a rally because you just can't make it, or you have a mechanical, or you crash out, there's a little bit of room there then to still score points.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. And then what's like the baseline of points? What's the minimum amount of points you have? Or I guess minimum or maximum, like just objectively for new to rally, right? Like what are you competing toward? Like what's like the most you could get, I guess.
So the in like the limited 2 championship, 25 is the most you can score at an event. So
Okay.
25 times 6, you're making me do math. Yeah,
That's 150, yeah.
it's kind of your max points. Very rarely, every once in a while, someone will straight out win every single event. But it's
That
actually,
happens? Does that happen? Like,
it
wow,
does.
that's wild.
But it's really, really hard to finish rallies.
Yeah.
Even the fastest person might not win every time because they might get a flat tire, they might have a mechanical issue, they might go off the road for a little bit and lose some time. So it's always up in the air as to how you'll finish the event. You
Yeah,
can
I
never
love
go
this.
in saying, I've got this, even if you are the best driver out there.
I feel like these questions are so rudimentary, but just coming into learning more about it, I'm like, this feels like very relevant for me right now. So I'm eager to hear all the details.
Let's go
So
away.
Michelle, you and I met when I was at Dirtfish a couple weeks ago or a month ago. I don't know now. And anyway, you talked about advocacy. We got to see the Dirtfish Women in Motorsports Summit. Talk to us a little bit about how you could see like what are still current obstacles for people getting involved in rally, and then maybe what are some ways in which we could increase like the accessibility and representation for rally.
Yeah, I think when you're in the sport, if you're not advocating, you're really doing a disservice to yourself and the rest of the world, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of gender, color, anything.
Yeah.
If we want the sport to survive, we need more people in the sport. And it is a little mysterious, I think I would say. You can't
Hmm.
just go online and easily figure out, how to get started in the sport. And so I
Yeah.
think having the schools, having people be vocal on Instagram, having people be approachable.
Mhm.
I'm always approachable, so please holler if you guys have questions. I'm more than happy to answer questions. That's what we need to continue growing the sport. And it's a little intimidating. You see people flying through the woods, Most of the media is people crashing because that's exciting and that gets you
Yeah,
views. Look, we don't crash way more than we crash. Okay.
good.
If that's helpful. Even getting in as a volunteer is intimidating, right? It's hard to find the information. So if you know someone who's doing it, just reach out in all honesty, even if people might seem a little difficult on the internet sometimes. Most of us are very, very friendly people who want to build the sport. And I think that's the best way we can do it. All of the schools help as well, right? It's a definitely, if you have the guts to try one, thank you for doing that. Uh, you're going to create that connection with your driving instructor, and you're going to have like a lifelong friend who, if you want to go do a rally or any motorsport, really, rallycross, autocross, we can help you funnel you to the right people and get you there.
Well, I love that. And selfishly, I'm not sharing details yet, but this school is in preparation for a competition in 2026. So I think that this will be a great kind of introduction to that space, and I can't wait to share that news. But I'm looking forward, and hopefully, Michelle, you'll be there when I am, and we can continue to build what that looks like.
I hope you're not there when I'm at a rally. And I mean, that's the great thing about the sport is even if you're never going to do it, say you want to go do spec racing like in a Miata or something, or you want to go do side by sides in Baja, the stuff you will learn from driving
Yeah.
rally is going to pay off tenfold no matter where your adventures take you, even if it's just driving to a trailhead so you can go hiking or skiing.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it'll translate. So, okay, along these lines, we've talked about what you've taken away, skills you've developed. What is something that was like the most unexpected thing that you learned from being involved in motorsport, whether this was autocross, rallycross, or rally?
My own self-confidence and self-worth.
Oh, I love that.
Probably one of the biggest things I took away from it. Yeah.
That that's huge. I feel like it makes sense, right? Like when you are in these scenarios where you're in the woods and your car is dealing with a mechanical, you're frustrated, and then somehow you make it out. I can only imagine the confidence boost that brings, and the affirmation that, like, but you know what? I did it. I got this far. I love that. Well, cool. Okay, so you shared some race experiences, but I'm curious, what was the what was the race that either as a driver or co-driver you felt pushed you the most? Like, what was something that you really had to overcome? I mean, whether a mental block, whether a physical challenge, what was something that was the most challenging race you've done?
I've had a couple. Some of them have been around the car. So,
Okay.
we've had to do some things with ratchet straps and vice grips and things like that and figure out how to keep racing and finish the rally, which is definitely a teamwork sort of thing. You know,
Yeah.
losing brakes on a stage. I think we did Vincent and I did 15 kilometers with no brakes last year.
This is
So
a
that
very timely topic, Michelle. I'm very
like,
familiar with losing brakes.
but we didn't stop. We couldn't fix them
Yeah.
on the stage, so we kept racing. And then as a
Yeah.
co-driver, I just have to refigure out the timing so that I'm saying
Yeah.
early enough so he can figure out how to slow down for it, things like
Yeah.
that. So that's always a good challenge. But probably one of my bigger challenges was when I was really, really sick. I had bronchitis at a
Oh my
rally.
gosh. Oh my gosh, Michelle.
So awful. If anyone's had bronchitis, you get this cough that can't stop and you kind of
Yeah.
lose your voice. And so I was taking Dayquil, of course, to try to stay awake. When I was on stage, somehow my brain did its work and I could call pace notes and it was fine.
Okay.
But as soon as we got off stage, I couldn't talk anymore. So I was cough drops, drinking lots of liquids, doing all the things. My energy wasn't quite there, but I was able to keep enough focus to get us through the race. But that one was really, really tough. That was one of the harder races I've had to do.
Gosh, I can only imagine. Unfortunately, I go straight to bronchitis. Every time I get sick, I always get bronchitis. And so I cannot, and yeah, so I cannot imagine doing a race in any capacity with bronchitis. But I love that your brain just locked in and was like, okay, this is what we have to do. We have to reserve and preserve our voice for this section. That's awesome. Um,
It is pretty amazing. I'll have a little head cold or something and it's fine. Or have really bad allergies and I'll be sneezing all day. But as soon as I plug the helmet in, it's game time.
I
Yeah. I'll
love it.
be away for a minute. Yeah. It's
I
crazy.
love it. The allergies read the room and they're like, let me just take a step back. That's great. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Michelle, as we're closing out here, just a couple more questions. You've gotten to experience a number of different races, a number of different vehicles. What has been your favorite car that you've raced? And then is there still like a dream car that you would love to compete in?
Yeah, I got the pleasure of racing in a Fiesta Rally 3 with Lucy
Okay.
Block in 22, and we did the championship in that. And that car was just so fun. It was my first time in a like kind of properly built, not sorry drivers. Yours other cars are great, but you know what I mean. It's a
Yeah,
sport
yeah.
car, what they would use in the WRC. Um, amazing team around that with Hoonigan and Derek. So that was really a privilege to get to work in that car. I think, any rally driver or co-driver would say they want to ride in a WRC1 car. Of course, that would be great. Maybe a Group B car. Um,
Dude, Group B would be sick. Oh my gosh.
Also slightly terrifying knowing
Yeah.
how they were built. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, those sort of things have to be up there. But to be honest, I'm happy in just about anything. I drove my first rally in a Geo Metro, which was very exciting. It didn't go fast, but we finished the race. And then, I've gotten to be in some other pretty amazing cars between the school and racing. So if you put me in a car, I tend to be pretty happy.
Hey, that's totally fair. And honestly, driving slow cars fast is really fun. So that's
It is.
okay that it was a deal. I love that.
Yeah. What about
I
you?
I mean, Group B would be insane, 100%. I do not have much experience with rally driving, right? Like my experience up to this point has been off-road mountain roads in North Georgia that I probably shouldn't have been on in college, and they were in some off-road like rallied out classic Porsches, air cooled Porsches, so that was a lot of fun.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, I think I don't know, class 11, like a freaking rallied out stock Beetle. I'm a air cooled girl all the way, so I feel like I have huge respect for that. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what's to come, but we'll see what's in the pipeline.
Exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Michelle, as we're closing out, tell the listeners where can they follow along on your upcoming rallies you have, your driving, instructing that you're doing. Where can they keep up with your journey?
Yeah, I mostly post on Instagram. I'm M Miller Racing, and you can find me there. It kind of automatically goes to Facebook, but that I'm not on there quite as much. So that's the best way to find me. And if you do want to get in the sport, if you have questions, if you follow me and DM me there, I will respond. Maybe not right away. If I'm in a race car, I sometimes get a little
You
busy,
know.
but I will respond. Happy to link people up on how to get involved in the sport.
That's perfect. Well, you closed this out just in the most eloquent way there. So that's fantastic. We'll have all of Michelle's information in the description so you can find her with ease. Michelle, thank you so much for giving just the smallest snippet into your world and what it has looked like. And listeners, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.